Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and game 1 in a best of 5 series between Revenant and Renson here on Lost Temple. Renson spawning on the south side of the map as the blue Protoss player at the 6 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Revenant spawning all the way across on the north side of the map at the 1 o'clock position as the orange Zerg. This is another Zerg versus Protoss matchup. Looking forward to seeing more Zerg versus Protoss games. Now this is a quarterfinal match in a best of 5 series, so you know we're going to at least have 3 games in this series. So now Renson moving out with this one probe and looking to do a low ground expansion. Probably going to set up a pylon here, perhaps do a gateway and then a forge expand to try to utilize this low ground expansion. Meanwhile, we see Revenant scouting in a different direction than I would have normally assumed a Zerg player to scout. Normally the Zerg player uses an Overlord and scouts into this direction. However, he's moving this Overlord across the map over here instead. So this is going to be a very interesting spawn as now Renson moves around with this probe. Probe will be able to come across Revenant's base in just a moment. I'm just going to try to call him Zerg versus Protoss throughout the rest of this series just because the RE sound is getting me a little confused. But now we see the Protoss player going to go ahead and throw down most likely a gateway here in just a second, or a forge. What will it be? It is a gateway. So Renson throwing down a low ground gateway in order to try to seal up this front door. We'll try to grab some minerals, perhaps redeposit them here, and then head back over here to throw down another pylon in just a moment. Or is he waiting for the minerals for a forge? Not quite sure. He may be trying to go for a 2-gate. However, the 2-gate not going to work out too well as it is not an early expansion coming in from the Zerg player. So it is going to be a 2-gate, however. Excuse me. So Renson going for a 2-gate instead of a gateway and a forge, and we'll see how this all works out as now the Renson will be able to get even more minerals. So 1 gate will be completed in just a moment. And now over here, Revenant just continuing to move out with these overlords. These overlords now doing the scouting and giving Revenant a very, very strong economic advantage just because he wasn't forced to scout out with any of those drones. We do see a hatchery now being placed down, a 16 hatchery coming in from the Zerg player. So Zerg with that 16 hatchery and now a spawning pool will be able to mine from additional minerals. We do see a gateway now being chrono boosted with a zealot. So a zealot, perhaps we will see more chrono boosted zealots coming out from a second gateway as well. So Renson now gonna do a 2-gate push with these zealots. These zealots may be able to deal some damage towards this one hatchery here. I do believe that he knows about that hatchery. Yes, he does know about that hatchery over here on the low ground. And now 2 Zerglings moving out to try to intercept this one zealot. This one zealot will be able to take care of those 2 Zerglings very easily. However, I believe a queen and now more Zerglings are also joining in on this fight. So Revenant will have a little bit of a difficulty trying to keep up in the macro portion of this game just because he has to spend so many of his larvae on Zerglings. The Zealot now getting a free hit onto that hatchery. Not much damage is going to be done there as this Zealot deciding to pull back. We do see 2 Zealots coming in to join in on this fight. So it is going to be 3 Zealots versus perhaps 6 Zerglings and a queen. We do see, no, we do not have any additional zealots being trained out of here. So Renson now throwing down an expansion instead and just trying to put some early pressure. He's not trying to win this game with this attack. All he's trying to do is make it so that Revenant has to overcommit and continue to train more Zerglings. If you take a look at the harvester count, Renson sitting on 21 harvesters compared to the Zerg players 14. So 21 harvesters versus 14. You can see Renson has a very strong economic lead as the Zerg player continuing to just train up more and more Zerglings. Now finally able to get some drones as well as he's also getting some spine crawlers. However, the economic lead really needs to pan out in just a moment. We do see the forge now on this low ground. So 1 forge here will be able to have cannons be trained up here and here. And now in come a swarm of Zerglings. So these Zerglings now going to try to come through. Are they going to be able to run through here? Zealots now getting a couple of free hits. Now these Zerglings, however, are just going to run straight into this position. And now there are a lot of Zerglings in the base. So in the base of Renson. So Renson has to deal with this. However, Renson not going after the probes. Taking a quick look. And now we see a lot of probes. Are the probes going to engage or are they just going to try to pull back? The probes could try to engage. And then with that probe, oh, very nicely done. Using the pathing of the probes in order to run through these Zerglings in a single file line. And now we have 2 Zealots trying to fight here. His probes now coming off the mineral line in order to engage even further. And now we also have some Zealots out moving again. So Revenant was forced to spend a lot of money and a lot of larva on drones, or sorry, on Zerglings, and now is unable to really capitalize on these Zerglings at all. 5 Zerglings are left against this army of, what, 2 or 3 Zealots. There is 1 Zealot sitting up here, and now some probes being transferred over. So 1 Zealot and a couple of Zerglings trying to fight, or a probe trying to fight. Are these probes going to be able to deal any damage? Not quite sure. We do have 1 Zealot sitting here, just on hiatus. However, Zerglings, or Zealots, now trying to fight into the base. So Renson doing a great job now going after some additional drones. Microwing on both sides. This 1 Zealot should be able to finish off that attack, and now we should get another Zealot here. However, the drones being forced to pull back here. 2 queens, or a queen now coming back in. A spine crawler now being rerouted into this position. We'll be able to start slashing away at some of these Zealots in just a moment. There we go. In comes a queen with a nice transfusion, beautifully done in order to just continue to maximize that damage. Another attack onto that Zealot. Zealot down to 4 hit points. However, the queen down to 14. So that queen needs to pull away. Zergling's not even joining in on this fight, and though this is going to be a very, very close engagement here, as we have 1 Zealot here. This 1 Zealot does have some damages. The queen, yeah, able to get that kill off. Takes 1/2 attack from this, from that Zealot before it gets taken down, and now these Zerglings need to come back over here to engage, and down it goes. So wow, both sides with very early aggression. We do see that Renson now has 32 harvesters versus the Zerg players, 28. However, Revenant not getting any gas whatsoever, even though he does have 4 extractors nearly coming out, but he has not mined any gas just quite yet. We do see some Zealots over here and engaging, and this is just going to be a very large Zealot versus Zergling battle so far. No speed upgrade, as this 1 Zealot now trying to take down these destructible rocks. However, these Zerglings may run into the base once again. Those Zealots caught out of position. No, however, those Zerglings were not able to run by here. We do see 1 probe there, but that is it. Zerglings now, what, about 15 Zerglings against 6 Zealots. So those Zealots should be able to engage and win out on this fight. Taking a look at the productions, we do see Warp Gate research now being completed, upgrading the tier 2 for the Zerg, and trying to continue to power drone and perhaps get more gas. You can take a look at, yeah, and the Zerg player's base now getting up to about 300 gas. Meanwhile, the Protoss player sitting on a fair amount of gas as well. I believe he's going to be going for a Twilight Council in just a moment. No, waiting for a Robotics Bay with Colossi. However, by looking at the amount of gas that the Zerg player is trying to collect, I think he's going to be going for Mutalisk. So those Mutalisk will be able to have a very, very easy time against all those Colossi and all those Immortals that are going to be trained. We do see the Zerg player now expanding over here. However, there was 1 probe that was able to get sight of this expansion. We do see Zealots now trying to also take down these destructible rocks, as these Zerglings over here are doing the same exact thing. 1 Zergling may be able to take down this 1 probe, so this probe already down to, well, only taking 8 points of damage on those shields. Are we going to get another peck? Yeah, we should be getting another peck in just a moment. Zerglings do not have that metabolic boost, and now we are getting with the Carapace upgrades for those Overlords, so those Overlords will be able to move much more quickly. So with that movement upgrade, are we going to see anything else? I do not. Oh, we see have a Hydralisk then, so it looks as though Revenant's going to go more for a drop play. We should see the Ventral Sacs being researched in just a moment, as well as now that Hydralisk then is being completed. And now we are getting that Groove Spines, but not training any Hydralisk just quite yet. Perhaps we'll see 5 or 6 Hydralisks being trained in just a moment. However, Colossus now being trained up as well. So Colossus being trained with that extended thermal lance range, and I need to remember to remove that in just a moment. However, Zerglings now coming into a gauge. We have 1 observer, so Renson with 1 observer wandering around on the inside of the space. We do see that evolution chamber, and now with that extended thermal lance range, and now 7 Hydralisks, it's going to be Colossi versus Zealots and Hydralisks. We do see 1 queen here. However, there are no overseers in the air. We do see another hatchery being positioned over here. However, I'm doing a good job. So Renson once again able to get sight of this hatchery as it's being laid down. Zealots and Stalkers are going to go over there to engage it. Renson does have the larger army at this stage in the game and will be able to take care of this hatchery. Give me 1 moment as I... yeah, exit there. Alright, I had to shut down some of those other applications. We do see that the drone was moved over here and then hiding over there to the north. The Stalkers, however, did not see that the drone is still in this space. 1 observer still moving around the map, and now we have the hatchery being laid down at the gold mineral expansion for the Zerg player. No Nexus here just quite yet. It looks like Renson will be throwing down a Nexus in just a moment. However, we do see Stalkers and Sentries and Zealots now engaging, cleaning up the rest of these creep tumors. So those Hydralisks that really move much more quickly on creep are going to have a movement debuff in just a moment as these Hydralisks try to engage no fungal growth to try to catch any of these units out of position. One these Zerglings trying to using that metabolic boost, able to get a couple of surrounds, and will be able to take down 1 or 2 stalkers in transition here. However, it does not look like Renson's trying to engage whatsoever, finally turning around to engage, and now with Colossi support, those Hydralisks will be forced to pull back. We do see 1 queen there. Will that queen drop a creep tumor? No, they are now into that Overlord, so the Overlords do have 4 Hydralisks each. Stalkers over here will be engaging against this hatchery. The hatchery will get taken down and most likely will be canceled. 1 Hydralisk over here as a scouting Hydralisk. However, Revenant needs to cancel that hatchery. There we go, cancel that hatchery, and there's that drone there. So that drone was taken down as well. So Renson now moving out with a very large army. However, Revenant moving out with a very large number of Overlords, and these Overlords are going to perhaps be able to do some sort of surround and try to get some flanking position. However, Renson does not realize what's really happening as these Overlords are now going to drop onto the backside. We do see Spine Crawlers now engaging Zealots, unable to engage against those Hydralisks. So these Hydralisks are just picking apart all of these Colossi. So those Colossi now trying to push around. However, more Hydralisks getting onto that high ground. Down goes another Colossus. So a beautiful play by Revenant. Revenant using a drop in order to get proper positioning. Zealots now running into the mineral line here, but able to take down a lot of that very large army. And now as these Hydralisks finish off the rest of these Zealots here, Renson's attack force will be significantly smaller, down to 800. However, now a Dark Shrine being warped in. So a Dark Shrine being warped in by the Protoss player, a very strong tech switch by the Protoss player in order to punish his opponent for not having that many Overseers. We do see a couple of Spore Crawlers, so those Spore Crawlers will be able to engage. However, now we do see all these Overlords. One of the benefits of a Protoss player, or sorry, of the Zerg player, is that they are able to spawn a detector anywhere that there's an Overlord. So if these Dark Shrines does come online right as these units are coming in, that will be strong enough to try to push back this attack. However, this Overseer is in this position, or sorry, this Observer is in this position to catch these Overlords now trying to move out. The Stalkers may be able to engage here. Are they going to blink? Yeah, they may be able to blink and then take down some of those Overlords. 1 Overlord down. Are the Stalkers going to blink? Oh, kind of a split blink there. And now trying to do a little bit of fighting back and forth. Those Colossi need to engage here. So wow, Revenant taking a lot of damage there pretty needlessly, trying to go for that engagement. We now see Renson trying to saturate this gold yield or the gold mineral location will be very strong. I do not like the placement on this one pylon. This one pylon very much exposed. As soon as this pylon gets taken down, these 5 cannons will be taken down as well. Renson needs to get another pylon here to double power those buildings. Back over here, we now see 1 Observer gaining sight on these Overlords once again. 1 Overlord sitting here. Perhaps Revenant needs to get an Overseer just to make sure that there is no Observer close by. We do see that the Stalkers and Colossi are coming in over here to try to get an engagement. And now we see Revenant trying to mine off of 3 bases. Perhaps we'll be able to get this mineral patch just as well. We do see 1 Overlord here. Not exactly sure what Revenant wants to do with that. And now these Overlords just hanging around in the 7 o'clock position of the map. Perhaps will finally drop. However, there are too many Stalkers to really deal with this. Level 1 weapons upgrade and another Colossus being trained, so the Stalkers will be able to drop in here very quickly. Hydralisk now trying to come in to engage, trying to pick down some of those Overlords, and now the Stalkers now pushing back and forth, blinking, trying to move those very low hit point units, and now more Stalkers being warped in from the back. All these Hydralisks will get taken down. However, there are some Overlords trying to drop into this position. It looks like a couple of Roaches will be able to come into perhaps into this location. Those Colossi are going to have a difficult time trying to walk in there because of this crevice. The Stalkers over here need to get in and will be able to walk down, and now in come these Roaches. Roaches, however, on that high ground, they're not going to be able to really deal that much damage there, as now more Chrono Boost being used across all of these gateways in order to reduce the cooldown time. We do see Renson sitting on about 2,000 minerals, 2,500 minerals, 1 Stalker or 4 Stalkers trying to fight back 1 Spine Crawler here as we may get another drop into this location. Really, Revenant needs to deal damage, economic damage, otherwise Renson's economic lead will be able to take over. We do see 67 Harvesters finally able to stop him from mining out of this gold yield mineral location. However, 1 Colossus now coming in to join in on this fight. I'm thinking that Mutalisks would have been a better call in this particular situation. Renson now with Stalkers over here able to destroy this hatchery. Roaches are going to try to engage, but I do not think the Roaches will be able to deal really that much damage here, as these Stalkers are now going to be able to take down some of these Overlords. Roaches not even being dropped down, and really poor micro here as Revenant using a lot of his forces, not even having burrows. So yeah, really, really poorly done. And I think Revenant, however, now Revenant moving in with roaches here. Will he be able to push out and deal damage towards these Stalkers? Stalkers and Colossus now taking some more and more damage. These roaches have a very fast regeneration rate. If they can burrow, needs to take down that cannon, but still does not have burrow, even if they wanted to start regenerating more and more hit points. So really, really nicely done. And now Revenant moving out with these probes. So probes now being transferred to that high yield mineral location. And we also have some Dark Templars joining in on this fight. Will be able to finish off the rest of this. One Colossus trying to pull away, however, the Acid Saliva catching it in the back. And now we see one roach being left behind there. That Colossus with that range of 7 or range of 9 able to finish that off. So probes being transferred to the high yield mineral location. Renson is still sitting on a couple, idle probes, and then Revenant says GG as Revenant moves out with a group of Stalkers and Colossi over here into the gold mineral location. So yeah, really, really well played by both sides, I believe, but Renson just getting a very, very strong economically. That early aggression with that double gateway forced Revenant to really go for a lot more Zerglings than he wanted to, so he was not able to power drone, and he really never was able to come behind from that economic advantage that his opponent had. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Stay tuned for game 2 in this best of 5 series between Revenant and Renson.